Hello everybody, Austin Hill-Shaw here, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder on Being Creative. Thanks for joining me again today. Today we're going to continue talking about creativity and Bay Area innovation. Creativity and Bay Area innovation. And we've looked at a lot of interesting subjects right now. In the beginning, we explored the energy around the Bay through the lens of the feng shui. We also looked at the culture of the Bay, the great cultural mashup, all these different people that have come together from different parts of the world. In our last video, we talked about the weather, right? And the weather factor and how that has lent itself to the creativity and innovation here. And today we're going to talk about the grinding geology, what I call the grinding geology. Because as we know, the Bay Area is one of the most seismically active places on the planet. And before we get into that, I want to kind of preface in something that's up for me today. Earlier today, I got an email from a friend of mine. He's a speaker. He speaks on authenticity, and he wrote this note just letting us know that his sister had just died of ovarian cancer. Young, had a child, and then had two children, including a young child. And it was both shocking to hear that. It's so heavy to hear when that happens, and yet it's also a reality of life that all of us, who have been born, will also one day die. And the more that we can embrace that, from my opinion, the more alive and creative that we can feel. The fear of death is gripping for all of us, and it's a heavy subject, and there's been a lot written on just the denial of death, especially within the West and in the United States in particular, where it's almost like an inconvenience. It's like, why does this happen to have to happen? But I think for those of us that live in the Bay Area and living on, again, one of the most active fault lines in the entire world, we're very much aware on some level, like even if it's at a subconscious level, of the impermanence of this place, okay? And again, impermanence applies to everything. It applies to everything. But we, here in the Bay Area, experience on a different levels because occasionally we have, little tremors, right? Where this earth that you're sort of taking for granted suddenly starts shaking. The solidity of your life is suddenly shaken up on some levels. And it's like, it inserts a gap in your mind. It's hard to ignore the shaking of the earth and what that does to you. And another thing is that, I was once on a retreat, and it was weird. I just had this question in my head. I had this wondering, it's like, I wonder how I'm going to die. I just had this question, how am I going to die? And I had this clear kind of message, an insight to me that says, you're going to die in some sort of an earthquake, or you're going to die in an earthquake. And I thought, that's interesting. And that day in the region where I was, there were actually two tremors, two big jolts. And I was like, wow. And so I started to chew on that for a long time. I thought, well, on the one hand, what am I doing in a seismically active zone, right? Why wouldn't I just, if I really cherish my life, wouldn't I go move someplace else? But as I thought about it more, knowing how you die, even if it's true or not, doesn't necessarily know how your life is going to end on some levels. I could be, I don't want to be morbid here, but I could be a vegetable, for example, who was, or succumb to some disease and be at the end of that and then be hit by an earthquake, right? I just have no idea how that's actually going to work, right? And I can't know it, nor should I know it, because part of, again, living a creative life is cozying up to the unknown. One of the biggest unknowns being our own mortality, right? We don't know how long we're going to be here. We don't know how it's going to end. We don't really know what goes after this, right? There's all kinds of ideas and theories from religious traditions and all sorts of things. But it doesn't matter because all I have right now is the present moment, right? And it's not, it doesn't mean that the present moment is the only thing. Of course, I do need to plan for the future, and I also need to value what I've done in the past. That's also part of being a creator. But the point of this is living here in the Bay Area is a constant reminder also that we're living in a place that its beauty in some ways stems from its impermanence. I was here in 1989 during the Loma Prieta earthquake. I've shared that before. A 7.0 earthquake that was, I was on Sprout Plaza, and it was, to feel the power of the earth moving in that way was awesome. It was frightening and awesome and exhilarating. And, really impermanence and the movement, the change, the interdependence, the dynamism and the mystery and the uncertainty, those aren't the exceptions to the world that we live in as much as we try to defend against them. That's the rules, and that is what brings forth such creativity. And if you're asking me to, one of the reasons that this place, again, is so creative innovation, that this is the place where 32% of all venture capital in the United States has been invested, right? That's a lot of money, for a small region. Part of one of the pieces is the fact that this is a dynamic, changing place, and it's not going to be here forever. Nothing's here forever, right? But in the Bay Area, there's awareness that we don't know what's going to happen. And people here, whether they're conscious of it or not, walk around with that unknowing. We prepare for earthquakes, we prepare for calamity, we prepare for catastrophe, but we don't know when it's going to happen, right? We can't defend against the world. And on a big level, everything's working perfectly fine. If you look at the maps of how the world was millions and billions of years ago, there's a supercontinent called Pangaea, and then it's sort of gone like this, and things have stretched out, and the subcontinent of India has ran into Asia, and it's made the Himalayan mountain range, and there's just been all these incredible changes. So then, now limestone, which is created on the bottom of the ocean, is now on the highest mountain on Mount Everest in the world. It's just so crazy how there's all this movement here. And in the Bay Area, we're aware of that on some levels. That movement not only brings in change and growth and movement, but also sometimes things that are alive in the world and are working are falling away. One of my favorite stories about the Bay Area comes from the name the Golden Gate, right? The Golden Gate, before there was even a Golden Gate Bridge, was named by a guy named Fremont, who was an explorer. And he named it after the Golden Horn of Istanbul, which is, now, it was Constantinople, now Istanbul. But the Golden Horn was a place of real significant trade and culture, and it was a port town. It was a place where ships came in and goods from all different parts of the world were traded and exchanged. And guess what? It was also prone to earthquakes, right? And so they had this place, the Golden Horn, which when Fremont saw the Golden Gate, he's like, oh, this is just like the Golden Horn, the same strategic significance, right? Now, talk about the circular nature of time. Now, in that same region, there's a bridge that connects the European and Asian plates, which looks similar to the Golden Gate. I can't remember the name of the bridge right now, but you can look it up. This bridge, that's basically in present-day Turkey and in Istanbul that connects, like the Golden Bridge connecting Marin County with San Francisco. It connects the European continent with the Asian continent. So, anyways, I'd love to hear if you have been in an earthquake before and the effects that it's having you, or any experience of impermanence that you've had. Just maybe a loved one dying, maybe a change in your life, being fired of something. I'd love you to reflect on that and also share it with us if you choose to do so. You can do that in the comment sections below this video. If you're not on my website right now, please go to www.austinhillshaw.com, and you can find it there, free resources. And again, read the area below, the information below this video. It's just not a synopsis of what I'm talking about around. It's different information that'll get you more into the geological expression of the Bay Area. As an undergraduate, I should say that I studied what's called geomorphology, which is the evolution of landforms. And it's almost like it's like a forensic scientist who's looking at the land and trying to understand, based on the evidence there, how that land came into being. So this is a topic that is really interesting, not only scientifically, but spiritually as well. Because again, the movement that takes place here in this place not only fuels creativity and innovation, but also, again, allows us to sink into the fact that we're not going to be here forever. You know, I have no idea when my life is going to end. And therefore, I've got to do all that I can to make it meaningful now. Not in a frantic, frenetic, like, oh my gosh, if I don't do this, my life's going to... No, just to take advantage of this amazing, amazing experience of being a human being, right? What a gift. What a gift. So anyways, this is Austin Hale Shaw, founder of Creativity Matters and author of The Shoreline of Wonder, reminding you to connect deeply, to make a difference, and to inspire creativity in others. Thank you so much for joining me again.